I've worked in hospitals' morgue for over a decade, witnessing life's final moments frozen in time. Every day, I encountered death, observing the fragile transition from the living to the deceased. But little did I know, the most horrifying experience of my career was yet to come. It was a dark, stormy night, the kind that sends shivers down your spine. The hospital corridors were eerily quiet, save for the distant hum of machinery and the occasional echo of footsteps. The room was unusually cold, the air thick with a strange energy that made my heart race. Something was off. As I prepared to carry out my nightly routine, my eyes fell upon a body that was not supposed to be there. A living person had been mistakenly delivered to the morgue and left frozen in one of the cold storage units. Panic gripped me, and a chilling realization washed over me like a tidal wave. How could this happen? How could someone be alive and yet encased in the realm of the dead? With trembling hands, I approached the frozen figure. Their eyes were wide open, filled with sheer terror, as if they had been conscious throughout the entire ordeal. A cold sweat broke out on my forehead, as fear gnawed at the pit of my stomach. Unable to bear the sight any longer, I rushed out of the morgue to seek help. I ran through the labyrinthine hallways, the darkness seemingly closing in around me. Finally, I reached the nurse's station, breathless and desperate. I pleaded with the staff to come to the morgue, to witness the impossible. But when we returned, the cold storage unit was empty. The living person, once frozen in time, had vanished without a trace. The hospital staff dismissed my account as a hallucination, a trick of the mind brought on by exhaustion and stress. But deep down, I knew the truth. I had encountered something otherworldly, something that defied the laws of life and death. From that night on, I saw shadows lurking in every corner, and every gust of wind carried whispers of the unknown. The morgue, once a place of solace, had become a chamber of horrors. I was tormented by the unanswered questions, haunted by the thought that the living person was still out there, trapped in a chilling limbo. The hospital continues its operations, oblivious to the horrors that unfolded within its walls. A few days later, I was inspecting the bodies and accidentally came across the same person. Goosebumps ran across my skin, and he looked me straight in the eye. I tried to check his pulse, but his heart was no longer beating. Story number 2. I had been working at the city morgue for over a decade, and during that time, I had seen my fair share of eerie sights. But nothing could have prepared me for the chilling events that unfolded one fateful night. As the only worker on the night shift, I was accustomed to the solitude. But that night, an inexplicable sense of unease hung heavy in the air. As I went about my usual routine, preparing the bodies for autopsies, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. It started with small things. A missing instrument here, a misplaced document there. I dismissed them as my own forgetfulness, attributing the lapses to the late hours and my tired mind. But soon, more alarming incidents unfolded. One night, while working on a deceased patient, I turned my back for a moment to retrieve a tool. When I returned, The body's organs had vanished from the tray. It was impossible for organs to simply disappear without a trace. Yet there they were, gone as if they had never existed. My heart raced, and a cold sweat trickled down my spine. I searched the room, desperately hoping to find an explanation. But all I found were empty shelves and vacant drawers. Fear gripped me like a vice as I struggled to find a rational explanation. Was someone playing a macabre prank? Or was something far more sinister at play? Determined to uncover the truth, I began conducting my own investigation. I meticulously reviewed the security footage, searching for any signs of unusual activity. But to my dismay, the cameras had captured nothing out of the ordinary. It was as if the organs were disappearing by some unseen force, defying all logical explanation. Night after night, the inexplicable continued. More organs vanished, leaving behind an eerie trail of unanswered questions. Finally, on the eve of my breaking point, I decided to take matters into my own hands. Armed with a flashlight and trembling with trepidation, I ventured into the depths of the morgue, determined to confront the source of these unexplainable phenomena. I stumbled upon a door I had never noticed before, concealed behind a forgotten cabinet. What I saw next shattered my fragile sense of reality. I saw all the organs on the table that were disappearing. They were laid out in the shape of a human body, as if someone wanted to assemble a new person with their own hands. I immediately ran out of that room and closed the door. But after the police arrived, they didn't find anything in the room. I still don't know what it was or who did it, but the fear that it could happen again lives in my head forever.